Welcome to the Cardinal Way for Men Live. My name is Ed Cardinal. I'm back after a week off down in St. Augustine. Went down for a wedding 2 weekends ago, and we extended out for a week. And as you know, if you've been away on vacation, as I'm sure all of you have, it's nice to get away, get rejuvenated, refreshed, and come back ready to jump back into projects and whatever it is that you do back home. One thing that's becoming very apparent to me regarding the men that I've talked to is this feeling that men are feeling isolated, lonely, and disconnected. And I know for myself, this is something that I've experienced in the past. And even recently, and I've shared about this, moving to a new location and not knowing anyone here, my wife has connected much easier with other women, and I think women are much better at that. And all the men I talk to have, agree with that. And I was having a more difficult time connecting to other men, so I took matters into my own hands and I started a meetup group. So I've also talked about in the past the topic of the need for silence and solitude. That's different than loneliness and isolation. The difference, I believe, is solitude and silence is something that you choose. Feeling isolated and lonely is something that you wouldn't choose because it doesn't feel very good. But it does happen because of a lot of different reasons, and I'm gonna talk about that. And there's also a difference between feeling isolated and feeling lonely. You can be in a group of people and still feel lonely. And for men, this happens a lot because we have a difficult time forming deep, meaningful connections with other men. So you can be around other people and not have that deep connection or the intimacy with them and still feel lonely. So what have I done about the times in my life where I felt isolated and lonely? Well, like I said recently here, I created a meetup group. I had to take matters into my own hands in order to meet more like-minded people. And one of the things that I did on the first night that we met 2 weeks ago, it was a meet and greet. I asked the question, why did you join this group, and what were some of the topics that you want to see us cover in the next, in the near future. And here's what I learned from why men joined my meetup, the Empowered Man meetup group. One was the need for connection, building community, being able to have honest conversations, building trust, and exploring deep topics. In my meetup last night, we discussed the topic of men and friendship, and we talked about why is it that men have such a difficult time connecting with other men when with women it's so much easier. And I have a couple different theories about this. One is cultural conditioning. We as men have been taught to be independent, not to be vulnerable and show emotions because that's a sign of weakness. That's a trait for women. Homophobia is another one, and I've talked about this in the past. Also, I'm starting to think about this for maybe for the younger men, technology. It's more difficult to build community outside of being in their own homes on their technology. So that's sort of created a rift in that area. And I'll also learn behavior. I know for me, my father did not know how to have and did not have deep, meaningful relationships with other men, and I'm sure his father didn't either. So it's that learned behavior. It's goes down through the generations, and the pandemic has actually magnified this issue because we now do more things from our home instead of going out for meetings. We can do them on Zoom. We can connect with social media more as a means for our social interaction, but it's much different. It's not that personal on a deep level sort of relationship. So, what are the risks? There's a lot of risks for men who feel lonely and isolated and disconnected. Health issues regarding the heart in particular, and that doesn't surprise me. The heart, that the sense of love and belonging and connection. I can see how that would, feeling those feelings would cause challenges with the heart. Also, cognitively, in our thinking and our memory affects that. And lastly, mental health issues, in particular, depression. So, what can we as men do about this challenge of feeling lonely and isolated and disconnected? Well, I can tell you what I've done in the past. And one is challenging those social norms, that cultural conditioning, by doing my own inner work, taking a look at myself, taking a look at what it is that's blocking me from making those connections, what's holding me back, what am I afraid of? Is it homophobia? Is it the fear of being vulnerable, being judged? So challenging yourself on that. Joining an organization, maybe through church or like a meetup, or creating a meetup like I did. And then also, for me, and I've witnessed this in my own life, I can be a role model for other men. I witnessed at times when I've been vulnerable myself around men that it gave them permission to do the same, to be able to be vulnerable, be able to create a deeper conversation, a deeper relationship. So being a role model, being vulnerable myself creates that sense of safety, and if he can be vulnerable, then it's okay for me to be vulnerable. So it's a I feel a big challenge for men, this topic. I hope that this was helpful in some of the things that you can do to work on this and feel less lonely and less isolated. Um, if it was helpful, please share this. I do post this on my YouTube channel, so you can share my YouTube channel. You can share it here on Facebook. And also, I'm asking you for a favor. If you have any topics or any questions you have of me that you'd like me to cover, please drop them in the comments below. But if it's something that's more on a personal level, please feel free to personal message me, and I'd be happy to talk about anything that is helpful for my listeners. Looking forward to continuing this journey with you, and until you see me again, be well. Take care. Bye-bye.